everyone. Welcome to our last day's session on Sharpen Your Intelligence. Thank you for taking time off Sunday to be here. And I hope these sessions will be of good use to you. So today we are going to look at making changes last. Okay, all right. So before we get into how do we make changes and how do we make them last, we'll just quickly review on what we went through yesterday. We had looked at recreation. We saw the benefits of recreation. And we also looked at sleep, rest. We looked at sleep, the wonderful benefits that it has for our brain. We looked at melatonin and few ways to get mental rest, and also about the circadian rhythm. That's a weekly rhythm, and about taking regular once a week off. And we also looked at a couple of character traits, which were critical thinking and having a sense of purpose. Okay, so getting into today's session on change. Well, there is this particular model of change called the stages of change, which were put forth by Prochaska and Di Clemente. And this particular picture that you see is based on what they had studied and had written about. So there are these different stages of change, and one can enter at any point of these stages or exit. And exiting as in we were trying to change a certain behavior and somehow we got back to the old behavior, right? So there's pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and termination. So I've kind of slightly modified this a bit based on the kind of behavior changes that we are looking at. So let's look at each of these changes. What are the characteristics of someone who is at each of these stages of change? So in the pre-contemplation stage, a person may not be considering change at all. And they don't foresee that they're going to change that habit or that behavior in the foreseeable future. If you ever talk to them about that habit or behavior, they will become defensive and they will defend their unhealthy behavior. They may be unaware, completely unaware that they need to change, or maybe even partly unaware, and they definitely need help to change. Other characteristics may be that they're too discouraged to change. Sometimes, people have recognized, okay, this is something that's good for me to do. I really want to change what I am doing. And they have started making the changes, work through it. And then for some reason, they relapse into the old habit and they come back to the pre-contemplation. They can come back to the contemplation stage. So in this stage, people need to raise their awareness of maybe what is good about implementing this new change, why my old behavior is risky or is not the best. Before they can make a change, they need to be educated. Okay, so the next stage is the contemplation stage. Contemplators begin to realize that, you know what, I really see the need to change. These are some concerns, and I see a good reason to change these habits. Typically, they are ambivalent, meaning at the same time, they want to change, And at the same time, they don't want to change. It's like a seesaw of thoughts. But they are definitely thinking about some change in the near future. So these contemplators will look for information, they will try to reevaluate their current behavior, or they might seek external help for possibly changing their behavior. Contemplators can stay in this stage for very long time, vacillating between wanting to change and not wanting to change. So contemplators may need help to resolve this ambivalence and choose positive change over the current situation. So, some kind of encouragement, some kind of inspiration may be what will work for contemplators. The next stage is preparation. So, once a person is beginning to plan for a change, they enter this stage. During this stage, commitment is strengthened and the person makes very specific plans. Very often people will skip this preparation stage. So from contemplation, they'll go right into action. And so they're not prepared. Plans are not set. They have not understood what goes into it, what can be influencing them to move from the healthy change that they really want to implement to back to the unhealthy habit or behavior. And so it is very essential for someone who is in the contemplation stage to go through a good stage of preparation. Um, People in the preparation stage, they may need help to identify different strategies that can work, and they have to choose what is the most appropriate for them because everybody is different, right? Then we have the action stage. So in this stage, people choose a strategy and they begin to follow it. They believe that this change can be made and they will start taking actions to change their habits. Maybe they need to change their environment, change, maybe move a little bit away from the friend circle who are pushing for some really negative behaviors. So this people in this group may need help to stick to the strategies that they have chosen, and so that can help prevent or reduce lapses or relapses. So a lapse is when just once or a few times we slip into the old behavior. A relapse is when we've completely gone back to the old behavior. Okay, so that's the action stage. Now, in the maintenance stage, people try to sustain the benefits that they have achieved during the action stage, and they have learned. They are learning to detect and guard against situations that can lead to a relapse. They may work on getting new skills to deal with the challenges that can drive to relapse, and thus they can avoid relapse. This can mean changing routines, it can mean making new friends, trying out new activities, a lot of change to sustain the new behavior that they want. Then there's a termination stage. And in this context, we are saying that this is the stage that the new habit is completely developed. It no longer requires you to think that, okay, I have to eat at least 5 servings of vegetables today. No, it no longer requires that extra effort, extra thought. It has become a part of you as a person and it comes out very naturally. But due to varying circumstances, people can, even from this termination stage, relapse. Okay, so that is something to remember, that relapse is possible in any stage of change. Okay, so what if a relapse occurs? Is or lost. No, it's we have to remember that this is a learning opportunity. So we can analyze and look back and see what went wrong. What was the cause of the relapse? Maybe there were multiple causes. And also to analyze what was working well. So once we think through these things and we list them down, then we can re strategize and have to get right back up. Otherwise, if we become discouraged, then it's very hard for external encouragement to help. Though it can happen, but it can be a bit challenging. Okay, so as long as we remember that it if we as long as we are getting up back and we are learning the lessons well from that relapse, it's okay. All right, so record everything. Okay, make a list. How you would begin is make a list of all the changes you want to incorporate. So we've gone through so many things that can help improve the intelligence, right? So you make a list of what it is that you want to change and prioritize. I'm going to change this first, this second, this third, fourth, fifth, and this last. And then write down what are the benefits going to be for each of these changes, or what might be the cons of making each of these changes, and what may be your strengths that can help you achieve that sustained behavior change. And the strengths may vary, that you may write down for different things on the list, different items. It may vary. Okay, your strengths and also your weaknesses. So when you write down things, it really sticks in your head, right? And then it helps you to strategize better to make that change. You can also see potential pitfalls, and you can also think about what you can do to avoid those pitfalls. And so you pave the way for success. So planning, recording, they're all very important. Something else that helps, and you may have heard of this in personal development material that you've maybe listened to or read. And this is setting up SMART goals. So for each of the things that you want to change, set up SMART goals. So what is it? It's an acronym for having those goals to be specific. You should be able to measure so that you know whether you have succeeded or not. It has to be action oriented. If there's no action to take, then it is not a SMART goal. It also has to be realistic. We may be inspired, like, wow, I really want to be, really improve my intelligence. I want to do this. But we also need to be realistic. How much change can we incorporate over a certain period of time? What can we do? What are some challenges? What are barriers? That needs to be considered while developing these SMART goals. And also, it has to be time bound. We are accomplishing this goal within a certain time. And so we really can see whether we've reached that goal or not. Okay. What else can we do? It's good to have some way to be accountable, and it's also very good to track progress. So one good way to be accountable is to ask someone to be your accountability partner. So you can tell this person, I'm going to change. This is what I'm going to change, or this is a list of what I'm going to change, and this is what I'm going to do. So you can share your SMART goals with them. So this has to be someone that you're comfortable being accountable to. So, when they question you, you don't feel you don't feel down, or you don't feel sad, or you don't come across as defensive. Okay, so it has to be someone who's optimistic, who will be encouraging, but someone who's also realistic and someone who will challenge you. They don't go all hard on you or they don't go all soft on you. So identify this. It may be a family member, it may be a friend or somebody else who you know will surely hold you accountable in the right way. And then journal your story, record the entire process. You will learn so much by just trying to make one change. I had to do that for one of my classes as the project for that semester, and there's so much to learn just from changing one behavior. You learn so much, and we'll see where that helps. Okay, but record everything from picking up uh, things that you want to change, from prioritizing them, um, from listing the pros and cons to um, writing down your strengths, your weaknesses, making smart goals. Make sure that you're recording everything. If needed, make use of apps, relevant apps. Okay, use the alarm, use your calendars. There might be alarms that can monitor your sleep cycle. um, so be creative. If you want to use charts and stickers, however you think something is going to help you keep track of how you're progressing and can also kind of motivate you. Use your creativity. Okay, then very important, help someone else in their change journey. Just like how it is when you teach someone something that you're learning, and you really retain it better. You also understand it better. Similarly, when you help someone else in their change journey, it helps you make that change to last. And so this is one great place where whatever you've been recording is going to help. You can see what worked for you. You can suggest things that even maybe for you they didn't work, but it might work for another person. And based on what you have already done, you will get more ideas to help somebody else. So mentor someone through their journey as well. I really hope this is something that you will try out and that you will experience how rewarding it is. For example, like the presentations that I've been doing throughout this week, I know they are good for my intelligence. But many things I have relapsed, and as I've been putting information together and doing these sessions every day, it's reminded me to walk the talk, right? To be someone who practices everything because I too want to sharpen my intelligence. So it has been of so much benefit for me to just share um, these all this information with you. And similarly, you will see that as you help others, you're helping yourself. That's the way things work. Okay, so we are going to just take a simple example and what we have just gone through. They are very simple tools, but until you try them out, you won't see how powerful they are. Okay, so we'll take an example. So let's imagine, I went through these sessions to sharpen the intelligence, and then I made a list. Okay, and I prioritized this list. So for me, on top is sleeping early. Then I want to drink water regularly. The third one is I want to really increase my physical activity. I want to it, increase my daily intake of fruits and vegetables, get sufficient sunlight so that I have enough of vitamin D, I'm getting enough of light to keep me in good health and good moods. I also want to eat unrefined food. I want to quit white rice. I want to quit Maggie noodles. I want to reduce the amount of oil that I'm using in cooking and increase eating nuts and seeds. I also want to practice deep breathing more regularly. So this is let's say, a list that I have made. This is it. All the changes that I want to incorporate. I really want to do these things, and I have prioritized them, right? So what I'm going to do next is, okay, I've chosen the first on my list is sleep early. So I'm going to write down, okay, what are all the benefits of sleeping early? And before that, I will write, what is my current behavior? So let's say currently I'm sleeping at 11 p.m. I'm waking up at 5 p.m. 5 a.m. That's 6 hours. That's not healthy. I need at least 7 to 8 hours, and I'm sleeping too late, right? So what are the pros of sleeping early? Well, my intelligence will be improved. I'll have a better immune system. It'll be stronger. I will enjoy better moods. Are there some things that I'm going to miss out if I sleep early? And they may be silly things, they may be big things. It's okay. Just write it down. So maybe for me it would be, oh, I really feel that pinch of reduced phone time, and I will also really miss out on spending so much time of socializing online. So those may be some things that I may miss. Okay. All right. So, what are my strengths to make this change? My strengths are, I'm really enthusiastic, especially after going through Sharpen Your Intelligence sessions. I'm really inspired that I must sleep early. Okay, do I have any weaknesses? And we have to be honest, right? Let's say I'm inconsistent. I may start something but not carry it through. And also, I tend to allow my family's actions or their schedule to affect my actions, my schedule. Okay. So, what about the stage of change that I'm in? Well, I'm all geared up. I have the information. I really believe that this change needs to take place, and I'm all set to make an action plan. So I am in the preparation stage. Okay, so what would my SMART goals look like? Well, um, something like this. I would say from Feb 20 to Feb 26 of this year, I'm going to, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to sleep at 10:45 p.m. I'm going to set the alarm for 5:45 a.m. So I'm getting 7 hours of sleep. So what you can see is that in going to sleep, I've just made it early by 15 minutes, because that's all I can see myself doing. If I say 9 p.m., maybe for me, I jumping from 11 p.m. to 9 p.m., it's too much. I can't do it. It's not realistic, right? So I want to be realistic when I'm making my SMART goals. So sleeping earlier, 15 minutes, I think that's good. And I'll extend 45 minutes of time in the morning that I sleep. So I'll wake up at 5:45 instead of 5 a.m. And what I'm going to do is every week I'm going to sleep earlier by 15 minutes. And to me, that's very realistic. Okay. Maybe to someone else, they might need to do 10 minutes for 3 weeks. And then after that, um, sleep another extra 10 minutes earlier, right? So by the 6th week, they're sleeping 20 minutes earlier. And in time, we will reach where we want the actual time that we want to sleep. All right. Another is of my goal is I need to set an alarm at 10 p.m. As an alert to get ready for sleep. Also, I'm going to be very specific as what it means to get ready to sleep. To me, getting ready to sleep is that I have a warm shower at 10 p.m. I'm setting aside 10 minutes for reflection. I'm setting aside 15 minutes for prayer. and I say good night to the family, check my alarm is all set for tomorrow at 5 a.m. And that to me is getting ready to sleep. So you can see how specific this smart goal is, right? So let's say I tried it out, and within few days, I went back to sleeping at 11 p.m. And well, I didn't pause that very day. But after 3 weeks, I've been like, oh, I've been sleeping for 11 p.m. I don't feel any change in being alert or being able to study well or work well. Uh, I need. So then, what should I do? Because this is a relapse, right? This is a relapse. So then I need to analyze what went wrong. Why wasn't I able to sleep at 10:45? Maybe my stomach was too full for dinner. Maybe I've been eating dinners late at 9 or something like that. And I just feel too uncomfortable to sleep even a bit earlier. And also, my phone kept beeping when messages came in. And then, as soon as it beeps, then I'll text people back. Okay, so those were some pitfalls. Did anything work well? Um, Probably for me, having a scheduled routine just before sleeping really worked well in the days that I was going to sleep early. So I need to make certain changes, right? So I know what's gone wrong. So I'm going to include the right kind of changes in my plans. So I will include that in my SMART goals. So I'm deciding that I'm going to finish dinner by 6:30 p.m. Um, so my stomach is not in full work. It's not fully working on digesting my dinner. I'm also going to place my phone in airplane mode, right? So you can see that if a relapse happens, it's not the end of the world. We can still learn and modify our plans, modify our SMART goals, and we will be more inclined to success. Okay, so I hope uh, this these this simple example will give you an idea of where to start. This is a bare minimum. You can keep adding, and the more you think about it, right, the more you take the time to see what really happens um, for for you to continue in this in the old behavior, right, or the current behavior, and really what needs to change for the new behavior to set in. It's not just that, I say that, okay, I was sleeping at 11, I'm going to sleep at 9. It's not just that. There are so many other things that revolve around this just simple thing of sleeping 2 hours earlier, that I need to consider. I need to reflect. I need to analyze. And doing that is really going to help me. And when I'm going to help somebody else, all this process is going to help that person as well. And then as I'm helping that person, I'm going to see other things that don't work for that person. I'm going to learn other strategies that will work for that person. And now I've got extra experience that may help the next person, right? So take these things, digest it, and start working on it. I would suggest, do something tonight. Right from tonight, jot down what you remember and start. I'm sure the one that had the biggest impact on you will be the one that needs to be the first thing to be put into practice. So start from what has impacted you the most in this session, or maybe you've read some material and maybe that is something that you need to do. So start as soon as possible, because as you procrastinate, that enthusiasm, that inspiration is going to wear off. Okay. So while it is strong, let's start working. Let's take action. Okay. So we are going to move to our last character trait for this session, which is wisdom. Wisdom is knowing what is right, what is the truth, and what is wrong, and also being able to make that judgment for a particular situation, how to apply information that you know, how to apply the truth that you know. Um, so let's do the self test and see where our wisdom stands. Okay, let's go through the self test. So the first statement is, I bring both relevant facts and rationality into decisions. Okay, so there's relevant facts and there's rationality. So when I make decisions, I consider both of them. So you can strongly agree, disagree, maybe you're neutral. It's not something that applies to you. Or you can agree and strongly agree and keep a note of what you're choosing. The second statement, I take into consideration the needs of others. The third statement, I have an accurate view of my strengths and weaknesses. You can imagine, if we are not aware of our strengths or not aware of our weaknesses, you can see, like just from the example that we walked through, um, that we won't be successful in making that change. So it's very important to accurately know our strengths, our weaknesses. Um, okay. Fourth statement, people approach me for advice. Fifth one, I behave in a manner consistent with my own personal standards. As opposed to having standards, but um, just holding other people to those standards, but not following them ourselves. Okay, so what applied to you? If you have mostly agreed, then you have the character trait of wisdom. If not, we can work on it. Okay. All right. So we're just going to summarize what we've gone through, all these sessions. Um, so these are just some main points, frontal lobe instructions, right? The first thing is, we've not about this, but it's pretty obvious, right? Protected from mechanical injury. So make sure you're doing things like when you're driving, wearing the helmet, putting your seatbelt on, and refraining from sports or other activities that have very high risk to getting head injuries. Okay, so that is very important. And then supply it with good oxygen. Um, there are we've looked at different things that help improve oxygen supply. One is deep breathing, especially deep breathing where there's negative ions, where there are water bodies. Also exercise, right? Eating the right kind of food that promotes circulation. Give it good nutrition. There's so many facets when we looked at nourishing the brain. So making sure that we are incorporating them, even if it's one by one. Still, we are doing it, and we have a plan. Okay, controlling inputs. What goes in the brain? What are you seeing? What are you reading? What you're listening to? What you're speaking? Right? All of those are inputs. And taking the time to analyze our thoughts, to see if they're accurate, um, if they are rational, if there are distortions that need to be corrected, and also seeing, are these thoughts bringing me the results that I want, helping me achieve the goals that I want. Spend time working with your hands in the real world. Um, and then uh, having a regular circadian and circaseptan rhythm. So you're sleeping at the right time, waking up at the right time. You're taking that weekly once off regularly. And then exercise it. Exercise your frontal lobe. Um, think, read, go through these different processes, the different things that we talked about in emotional intelligence. Just like, when you do weights, you strengthen your muscle. As you exercise, your muscle strengthens. What happens if you don't use it? If we don't use, we lose it. Right? Same thing with the frontal lobe as we exercise it. Even exercising it to make good decisions, right? Um, is also exercising it. All right. So I hope these things will be beneficial. And I really hope that you will take the time to start working on these things and that you will see the changes. You will see improved performance in whatever sphere of life. But why do we have intelligence? Why have we been created with intelligence? Is it just to survive? Is it just to, for this very short life, do well, outdo others, show off? Mm, well, the reason we have been given intelligence is so that we can love and that we are loved. We receive love, we give love. As you take the time to go through all these changes and sorting out the priorities, coming up with smart goals, recording each and everything down, what motivates you to sharpen your intelligence? On Friday night, I read something that was very inspiring, and I thought that quote from one of my favorite authors would be a good way to end this session. And it goes like this: the love of influence and the desire for the esteem of others may produce a well ordered life and frequently a blameless conversation. Self respect may lead us to avoid the appearance of evil. A selfish heart may perform generous actions, acknowledge the present truth, and express humility and affection in an outward manner. Yet, the motives may be deceptive and impure. The actions that flow from such a heart may be destitute of the savor of life and the fruits of true holiness, being destitute of the principles of pure love. Love should be cherished and cultivated, for its influence is divine. And so I hope that as we improve our intelligence, we are also checking whether we are doing this out of selfishness or really out of love, to really seeking the benefit of others rather than seeking our own benefit, and being willing to sacrifice even when it's unpleasant, when it hurts, when we know that it is for the good of somebody else. So, with that, we will end our last session